is Jeff Gibson. I am HART Board Counsel, and I will start the meeting until we have a chair elected. This meeting is a hybrid. Quorum is physically present in the HART Administrative Offices at 1201 East 7th Avenue in the Florida Conference Room, and the rest of the board members are participating via communication media technology. If you would, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, there was no one scheduled to speak for public comment, but is there anyone here who would like to engage in public comment? All right, seeing none, we will move on to the business of the committee. The next item is the committee officers election, which I will chair. The process will be that I will ask for nominations from the floor, which do not require a second. Once the nominations are closed, I will ask the committee members to vote on the nominations in order received to identify one committee member with the majority of votes. The last step will be to confirm the committee officers election with a motion by the board. Are there any questions before we begin? All right, well, the first officer position is chair of the Finance and Audit Committee. The 2025 chair was Councilmember Schisler. Do I have any nominations from the floor for the 2026 committee chair?
Yes, I'd like to nominate Mr. Schisler.
All right, I have a nomination for Director Schisler. Is there any other nominations? Seeing none, may I have a motion?
Motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Congratulations, Mr. Director Schisler. The next, we will continue with the officers, and the next position is Vice Chair of Finance. Last year, the Director King was the Vice Chair. Do I have any nominations for the floor for the 2026 Vice Chair?
I'd like to nominate Melanie Williams as Vice Chair.
All right, I have a nomination for Director Williams. Are there any other nominations for Vice Chair of the Finance and Audit Committee? Seeing none, may I have a motion?
So moved.
And we have a second by Director Niebrick. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Congratulations, Director Williams.
Thank you.
With that, I will turn it over to Chair Schisler.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. Let's see, where are we? Okay, in the packet, in your package, you should have the minutes for the October 20th Joint Finance and Audit and Operations and Safety Committee meetings. If everybody's had a chance to review them, is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? Appear to be none. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. We will now hold a review on the proposed amendments to the board policies. HART Board Counsel Jeff Gibson, you are recognized to introduce this agenda item.
And let's pass it up.
Oh,
Thank you. In accordance with HART Policy 320.01, procedure for amendment of policies, the board may, from time to time, amend the policies or other procedures. This is a review meeting to discuss the proposed changes to HART Board Policy Section 500 Procurement Policies, specifically 510.01, Procurement Manual, and form a recommendation to proceed with adoption. Ms. Zickenfuss, Director of Procurement, will provide more detail regarding this proposed policy change.
Good morning, Board Chair, Board members, and Mr. Drainville. Item 5A is to present proposed revisions to the HART Procurement Manual in accordance with HART's Board Policy 320.01. Today, I'll review the proposed changes to the Procurement Manual and form recommendation to proceed with adoption at the February 2nd board meeting. The proposed revisions include add a special exemption to Section 2305 for litigation expenses or professional legal services to include but not limited to court reporters, process servers, subpoena services, expert witnesses, and surveillance. And the second item is to add paragraph Section 2502 to ensure compliance with Federal Transit Administration requirements. The head of the Procurement Department will conduct an annual review of all applicable federal clauses This procedure is to be completed by the beginning of each fiscal year for incorporation during the upcoming fiscal year and serves to identify any new or revised clauses, as well as to confirm that the existing clauses are correctly incorporated into the procurement documents. The process begins with the head of the procurement department obtaining the most current version of the FTA master agreement and circulars from the FTA official website. Through a review of these documents, a thorough review of these documents will highlight any changes or additions to the applicable federal clauses. This clause will satisfy the deficiency of missing FTA clauses found in the fiscal year 25 triennial audit. And add to paragraph section 2502, Build America, Buy America, in Exhibit U2 for construction solicitations. And a change section 3207.02, selection of litigation, legislative consultants, general counsel, legal services, and chief executive officer recruiting services to read. The authority may use a competitive solicitation process or informal competitive process when obtaining legislative consulting services, general counsel, legal services, and services for the recruitment of the chief executive officer. In preparation for this, the board chair shall appoint an ad hoc committee to oversee the selection process. This is in alignment with HART's procurement policies. And finally, to incorporate the FTA Circular 4220.1G into the procurement manual.
Okay, is that?
Yeah, that's item 5A.
Okay. Any questions or comments regarding this issue? All right, is there a motion to recommend to the HART Board of Directors to adopt the revisions to the HART Board Policy Section 500, Procurement Policies 510.01, Procurement Manuals presented by staff?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion to second. Any discussion on the motion? Appearing to be none. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We're not meeting again as a committee before you. Kathy is retiring. Just wanted to wish you well and thank you for everything, and see you at the board meeting in the meantime. Thank you very
Yes,
much.
thank you.
Committee action items. Next on the agenda are the committee action items for review by the committee for recommendation on approval by the full board of directors. Item 6A, to recommend to the HART Board of Directors to authorize the CEO to award a 3-year contract to Standard Life Insurance Company for employee-paid group term life and group long-term disability employee benefit programs not to exceed amount of $855,648. Ms. Zuckerfuss, you are recognized to provide an overview of this item.
Okay, item 6A, HART provides life, accidental death, and dismemberment and long-term disability insurance coverage to its employees. A full and open RFP was issued on October 2nd. 3 responsive proposals were received and technically evaluated. The selection committee comprised of 3 voting HART staff members and included 1 HART staff member as a technical advisor and 1 HART consultant as a subject matter expert. The incumbent Standard Insurance Company received the highest technical score. Following best and final pricing, Standard Insurance Company offered a competitive 3-year price, which is 13.7% below the current price, or a reduction of $45,451 annually. And that's item 6A.
Okay, thank you very much. Are there any questions or comments for staff in this item? Appearing to be none, is there a motion to recommend to the HART Board of Directors to approve item 6A and advance to the full HART Board of Directors at the February 2nd meeting, Board of Directors regular meeting? Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay, we have motion second. Any discussion on the item? Appearing to be none. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much. Next action item is 6B. In your packet, there's a write-up and proposed resolution for the committee to recommend that the HART Board of Directors authorize the CEO to modify the existing contract with Reliodine Florida LLC, Palmdale Oil Company, and Tropic Oil Company for bulk fluids not to exceed the amount, to extend the period of performance through June 15, 2026, with no change to the not to exceed amount. Ms. Zuckerfush, you are recognized to explain this item.
Okay, this item is requesting a 90-day extension to the current bulk fluid contracts. This is a cooperative solicitation with Citrus Connection. The extension will allow HART to complete the solicitation process and bring a contract to the June 1st, 2026 board meeting for award. There are no changes in the total not to exceed amount of the current contracts.
Okay, very good. Do we have any questions or comments for staff? Appearing to be none. Is there a motion to recommend to the HART Board of Directors to approve item 6B in advance to the full HART Board of Directors at the February 2nd, 2026 Board of Directors regular meeting?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion, the second. Any discussion? Appearing to be none. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much. Okay, item 6C is for the committee to recommend to the HART Board of Directors to authorize the CEO to modify the existing contract with Gas South LLC for natural gas supply to extend the period of performance through April 30th, 2026, with no change to the total not to exceed amount of $5,664,054. Ms. Zuckerfush, please introduce this agenda item.
Yes. This item is requesting a 90-day extension to the contract with Gas South LLC for natural gas supply. The extension will afford time to gather information and requirements for generating revenue from the Environmental Protection Agency Renewable Identification Number under Renewable Fuel Standard Program for natural gas supplier solicitation. This extension will allow HART time needed to complete the solicitation process and bring the contract to the April 6th board meeting for award. Again, there's no change in the total not to exceed amount of the current contract.
Okay, committee members have any questions or comments for staff?
Thank you. Just to clarify, this is a simple extension in the term of the contract by 90 days to allow a parallel effort to award a new contract that would be presented to the full board in April's meeting. Is that what you said?
That's correct. The new contract, and Nick can speak more to it, but the new contract is not just for the delivery of natural gas. It'll be for renewable natural gas, and then we'll have, it'll be through a RFP process, but we'll have a RIN supplier who will give us RIN credits to help offset the cost of natural gas.
So is the RFP underway, or is that, I'm a little bit, I guess, confused. Do we expect that RFP process to complete by April and it to include the renewable credits that we might be qualified for that we still need time to identify?
Yeah, so the RNG solicitation is underway. It's not yet released, but it will be released by the end of this week.
Okay. Thank you.
I do have a question also. Renewable natural gas, how does this work? I mean, once we use it, we use it, no?
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, Committee. Nicholas Coburn, Director of Fleet Maintenance. Renewable natural gas is a byproduct from waste material as they break down. So in the landfills, as organic matter decomposes, is collected and sold as a D3 fuel, which the EPA then pay a credit to entities that utilize that fuel source to subsidize farmers. It's also created from corn. It's a byproduct from ethanol creation. So it's readily available on the market. We're just making the switch as the EPA RIN program. If everything works out the way we're thinking it's going to work out, we're possibly looking at free fuel, just claiming the credits as we did with the tax program on CNG. I hope that answers the question.
any potential issues with our equipment? Is it? I
No.
mean, is it
It's a
gonna be-
certified fuel from Cummins.
Okay, all right. Okay, that's curious. That was an academic question more than a
Yeah,
procedural
and it comes through
question.
the same pipeline.
Okay, all right. Just sounded a little strange, that's all. Okay. Any other questions or comments for staff?
Just to quickly follow up, and
Yeah,
I feel
please,
like I might be
please.
on the same line of thinking. So this D3 fuel that comes from sources other than where, let's call it natural gas comes from, gets mixed into the same pipeline that we use to fuel. And by electing to purchase some of this renewable natural gas from its available sources, we qualify for credits. And did you say that it, it's speculative, but that it might drive our CNG purchase price down to near zero? Is that what you said?
That
it
is
might-
correct. We have to go through the RFP process, and within that process, we can claim a portion off the credit. So it will be a competitive solicitation, and then the providers of the fuel will then, let me not say more since the RFP we're gonna release.
Okay.
But during the process, the providers will be able to provide their proposals that will help us better understand the credit we will receive.
So this effort is exposing us to benefiting from these credits to the extent that they are available pursuant to any responses we get from the soon-to-be-released RFP. Okay, thank you.
I too have one follow-up then. So do we jeopardize, or let me rephrase it, will the same supplier ultimately supply both types? Or will we have to use a different supplier for the renewable natural gas, the RNG?
Yeah, well, the incumbent will definitely be invited to bid for the RNG.
No, I don't mean, let's say, whatever happens, we go to company ABC, XYZ, whoever, okay? Are they going to be able to supply both types? Or is that going to be a mutually, do we run the risk of eventually having supply issues down the road by doing this program?
Yeah, I don't anticipate any, and it could be the same supplier that supplies the RNG and then does the RIN credits, or it could be somebody else. And so the supplier would then provide all the information to the RIN contractor, who will then do all the reporting to EPA and so forth, so that we get the credits.
Because I would just hate to, cut off our noses to spite our face if we do this and it works great, and a year from now, the supply won't dry up, obviously, stuff's gonna keep rotting. But, what kind of issues develop, we find ourselves in a bit of a bind. But that'll all be taken into consideration with the whole process. Okay, all right, I'll shut up, sorry. Okay. Any other questions or comments? Appear to be none. Is there we're still in 6C, right? Is there a motion to recommend to the HART Board of Directors?
So moved.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Appear to be none. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimous. Okay, next action item is item 6D. In your packet, there's a write-up, proposed resolution for the committee to recommend to the HART Board of Directors to authorize the CEO to dispose of one 40-foot Gillig low-floor fixed-route transit bus, 5 paratransit 23-foot Chevrolet Express cutaway vans, and 2 non-revenue vehicles through competitive sale, public auction, insurance requirements, or disposal in a manner most advantageous to HART. Mr. Nicholas Goldberg, your Director of Fleet Maintenance, will provide an overview of this item. Sir, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair. Item 6D is a recommendation for the board to authorize the Chief Executive Officer to dispose of one 40-foot Gillig low-floor fixed-route transit bus, 5 paratransit 23-foot Chevrolet Express cutaway vans, and 2 non-revenue vehicles. The vehicles identified have reached the end of their useful life and are no longer cost-effective to maintain. Disposals may occur through competitive sale, public auction, insurance processes, or any method determined to be most advantageous to HART. This action item supports sound asset management practices, reducing ongoing maintenance costs, and allows the agency to recover residual value where possible. Any questions?
Okay. Any questions for Director Hartfield?
Thank you, Nicholas. Is there a best practice as it relates to a subsidiary market for disposal or sale of these buses and vehicles? Is there a market out there that we could take advantage of?
Yes, we typically dispose of used vehicles and vehicles that have met their useful life at the Tampa Machinery Auction or the SCA auction. We found that that's the most economical way to dispose of these vehicles, and it also gives the public opportunity to reinvest in assets that's leaving our fleet.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Appearing to be none, is there a motion to recommend to the HART Board to approve item 68 in advance? to the
So
full-
move.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second.
Second.
Motion second. Any comments on the motion? Appearing to be none. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimous. Okay, the final action item for today is item 6E. Recommend the HART Board to authorize CEO to purchase up to 4 Ford Transit 350 vans with mobility lifts from Model 1 commercial vehicles using FDOT TRIPS contract not to exceed amount of $498,796. A write-up proposed resolution provided. Mr. Goldberg, you are recognized to provide an overview of this item.
Thank you, Chair. Item 6E is a recommendation for the board to authorize the Chief Executive Officer to purchase 4 Ford Transit 350 vans equipped with mobility lifts from Model 1 commercial vehicles using the FDOT TRIPS contract in a not-to-exceed amount of $498,796. This is funded by the FDOT 5310 program. These vehicles will support HART's paratransit operations by expanding and modernizing accessible fleet. Utilizing FDOT TRIPS contract, which is a corporated purchasing agreement, ensures competitive pricing, compliance with procurement requirements, and an expedited delivery timeline to meet service demands. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, do we have any questions? Director Hartfield.
Is there a list of approved vendors for that TRIPS contract?
Yes, there is, sir.
Okay.
Any other questions? Appear to be none. Do we have a motion to recommend the HART Board to approve item 6E in advance to the full board of February 2nd, 2026 for the regular meeting?
So moved.
Do we have a motion? We have a second. Was there a second? Okay, I'm sorry. We have a motion and second. Any discussion on the item? Appear to be none. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimous. Next on the agenda is a presentation by Emmanuel Nunez, Manager of Retail Sales and Revenue. He will share the committee update on the Flamingo Fair program. While they're setting that up, many years ago, I had an insurance agency that I was partnering. There was a guy in Lutz who would buy buses, retrofit them, armor plate them, drive them to Wilmington, put them on a boat, and send them down to Nicaragua as troop carriers. So there might be some options for our buses. Just saying, you know. Yeah, okay. My apologies. Emmanuel, you're recognized, sir.
Thank you. Morning, members of the committee, chair, CEO, everybody. Thank you. My name is Emmanuel Nunez. I'm here to provide you an update on the Flamingo Fairs program. All right. Well, I'm here to show you mainly how people are shifting in pay are using our system. So, and before we get into that and outcomes, I want to explain how we briefly got here. You know, Flamingo Fair wasn't just a single decision or sudden shift. It was a deliberate multi-year transition driven by age, fair technology, rising maintenance costs, and changing riders' expectations. So we first started with our beta test in February 2020. This is all just a high-level summary. Where we introduced the mobile app, we had some retail sales options out there, and also our 2 websites, which is mainly for corporate and for our clients. After that, we had in 2020, we had an approval late in 2020, December 2020, of our fares or fare structure specific for Flamingo fares. So that way, and when we officially launched on March 2022, and we used that year in between to gather data, get our customer comfortable with it, not necessarily just push it on their face and say, just adopt it. We had introduced a capability for EMV at the end of the year of December 2022, and then we completed a full transition to Flamingo fares in 2025, in January, to be specific. Want to also ground you on Flamingo fares payment options. So riders have 3 payment options, which are the mobile app, open payments, so they could use their debit, credit card, or digital wallets, and also the Flamingo Fare Card, which is available to regular or discount clients, or that will be students, veterans, and anybody with disability. Importantly, this option expands access rather than replace anything. Cash is still accepted. Cards are available through our customer service offices in different locations. And riders who prefer the physical option have that capability as well. They now have to go strictly to digital option. From a financial perspective, this is about offering flexibility and also maintaining the integrity of the system. With this chart, we'd like to show how our riders are choosing to pay over time. While the total ridership fluctuates every year to year, what's consistent is the growth in the digital payment usage. Cash is still present. Its share is steadily declining as more riders adopt the electric option or the e-fare options. The shift is actually behavioral than actually policy-driven. This is another view of the previous data. We look at the percentages on this one, and the trend becomes clear that digital, it's moving. In the previous year, we have a meaningful portion of total riders that were using cash, and then now we see that it's steadily showing. So, and this isn't about eliminating cash. I want to make sure that it's about riders choosing convenience when it's available. And also, riders migrated. They actually did not disappear. This slide compares Flamingo usage to the total system rise by fiscal years. Early years reflect rollout and awareness. As the system matures, adoption accelerates. By FY25, more than a third of all riders were using Flamingo, which signals that the platform has moved beyond early adoption and into a steady stage. This monthly view helps confirm the adoption is stable. It's not spiking. We see consistency across month, even as total ridership fluctuates seasonally. That stability is important financially because it means payment behavior is predictable. As we move into late FY25, Flamingo usage approaches low 40%, and at this point, growth naturally slows, which is expected and consistent with the peers agency, like our neighbor PSTA, and the system is performing as designed. With this slide, we show usage by route. It's mainly on our fiscal and the latest fiscal 25. And what's important here is not the total of rides that we see here, but it's just the distribution. We see the highest Flamingo usage concentrated on our highest ridership routes, like the Route 6, 34, and 400, and tells that adoption is strongest where service is and frequency of our daily commute is actually our highest. And as we move across the chart, we'll see that the matching overall of the ridership patterns indicates the system gaps, and our lower volume routes are still showing consistent Flamingo usage, which confirms system availability network-wide, not just on particular corridors. Finally, this slide is just a look forward of what we have. We have our mobile app replacement, which addresses some technical shortcomings and addresses also long-term sustainability. We do have a scheduled pilot for this year for targeted operation validation. This pilot is intentionally short as we try to limit our risk and cost exposure. We have also fare capping on a first tap, which allow clients to have multiple taps and be able to pay for whatever they want and at the same time benefit with the fare cap or limit the fare cap in a day. We have a UPass institution also. That is one of our technical shortcomings. We're trying to allow corporate institution, university to use the mobile app and be able to register their students or register their employees through the mobile app. Currently, it's not capable. It's not available. And the last will be the EMV registration. That's allowed our clients to, if they have a discount option, they're able to get it using their own debit card and credit card or digital options out there. So that way, they're able to have the same benefit as everybody else or their physical cards. The whole enhancement is actually to improve predictability, customer experience, and data quality, not necessarily revenue giveaways. In summary, Flamingo Fares is an established payment platform with measurable adoption and predictable behavior. Riders are choosing digital options without eliminating cash, and the upcoming enhancement focus on stability, control, and long-term cost management. Thank you. I'm open for any questions you may have.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much for your presentation. Do we have any questions from members? Please.
I have one question. Thank you for the presentation. Route 1, do you know how many people use Flamingo, their Flamingo card on Route 1? That was the free route, but I guess,
Why would they get any?
No,
probably not.
I'll address that.
Yeah.
Flamingo Fares required an action from the client, and because the route was free, we didn't require them to actually tap their cards,
Even though it was free?
even though it was free.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Because we did have some.
Yes, well, they have some initially. That kind of covers the October, November, December. When January came in,
Okay, I'm sorry, this is a fiscal period,
Yes,
fiscal year.
fiscal
not
year, yes.
count- Okay, all right,
Yes.
that explains it.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
So is that our strategy, question two?
Yeah, go ahead.
Is that our strategy going forward, that anytime we have a free route, we will not ask them to tap their card?
there's options that we have. We could create a free route. Technically, in the system, you just create a free product, allows the client to tap, and then we actually collect the ridership without actually charging the client. So that is possible. It's just, in this case, it was not used for that. We actually relied on the APC to get a more accurate reading.
APC.
I'm sorry, the automatic passenger counters that we have installed on all of the buses.
Okay, when they walk on the bus?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes,
thank
ma'am.
you. And then I would assume because you also are allowing cash, we wouldn't be able to track that in the way that we would have if we were using the Flamingo card as a free option.
Correct. Flamingo doesn't track cash on the bus. It will
Right.
track it on all the form of payments, like at a retail store or something.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Director Niebuhr.
Thank you. Is there a goal to minimize cash payment of fares and/or remove it as an option altogether, or are we constrained and must keep that option available?
The goal is to have options available to our clients if they choose to pay cash. With cash, we see a migration to the digital options. We see that steadily increasing. This year, actually 2025, almost having very close to each other at par. So we see that shift trending also coming to this year, 2026.
So right now, it's over a third. I think 43%
Right.
is Flamingo, and then all remaining is either open payment or cash. Is that a correct interpretation?
Correct.
And then of the 57% that's not Flamingo, do we have visibility on how much of those, of that 57% is being made by open payment versus, I'm trying to understand what percentage is paid by cash of the total.
So I'll come back with right now, what the numbers I have here. Let me see the slide. I believe I have, I'll get back to that slide. Just trying to-
And I don't mean to be putting you on the spot, I'm just trying to understand, because in my brain, and there's some understanding that I still need to develop on this, but it would seem that reducing the number of cash payments is better for the drivers, it's better for the efficiency, it's better for a lot of things. And I didn't know if we, as an organization, could, as a goal, look to either minimize and/or eliminate that option, or if there was some external constraint that we had that required us to maintain cash as an option for all of the riders.
Okay. And let me answer on the percentage. For 2025, what we have is 38% were cash payments. And previous year, 2024 was 78% cash payments. So payment is reducing, which helps with our cost, especially on our legacy system. It's put in a big number, but that's what we have right now. We're letting customer make their choice of paying cash or digital payments, with the understanding that the digital payments are actually trending up and cash is trending down.
And then you said that we are intentionally limiting the pilot window, which I think is the new mobile app that's
Correct.
launching this, or the development of is launching this month. And you said we're minimizing that duration to manage some risks. Can you give me some context as to what those risks are and why we are motivated to minimize that piloting window?
Because we already have a proof of concept, which is the regular app that we have right now. We're transitioning to new features, which allows our clients, like the university, like I explained earlier, or our own clients to actually import their previous digital fare card. So right now that's not there. So because we're basically at 90% of all the proof of concept, we don't need an extended window. The longer the window that we get our vendor, we have to pay them longer.
Very good, and then that's why it's a brief window, and then
Yes.
we go live by the end of July, I think I saw.
Yes.
And then that keeps us not exposed to a change order from the vendor that's
Correct.
doing that effort. And then the final question that I had from your presentation is the EMV option. You said that gives people that might be entitled to some form of discount
Correct.
to have that discount apply when they're using a form of payment other than the Flamingo card?
Correct.
Including open pay, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, and so that EMV registration is like a global umbrella that percolates no matter which option they choose?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
I want to comment, I thought we did not force our customers to not utilize cash because of, there was a specific reason that some don't have cards or some prefer not to utilize cards and so forth. So it was my understanding that that was the reason why we did not go fully to, no cash. If I'm correct in stating that. Thanks.
Any other questions? I do have one follow-up. Oh, Director Hartfield.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you. Emmanuel, and I'm asking you to speculate on this, and along with our CEO, why do we have so many people using cash? And is there an opportunity there for outreach as it relates to helping people to become banked? Because I'm assuming most are unbanked, that may be the reason why they're still using cash. But so first part of the question, why do you speculate that people are still using cash? And two, is there an opportunity for public outreach?
Mainly the cash is collecting on the buses using our legacy system. That option is available. On the clients they pay through that, we could see the data and we could do any targeted outreach on the type of cash is being paid per route. So we have that data available. We could always approach that as with a campaign and says, these are your options if you want to move into the digital side of it. But we have that data. We just haven't compiled it yet, but we have that data that per route that we could see which one has the highest cash payment.
Is there an opportunity to maybe do some public outreach and as it relates to what the benefits of being banked would be? Maybe and I'm saying this just as an option, Suncoast Credit Union. They're the largest credit union in the state of Florida, 10th largest in the nation. Utilizing one of our credit unions to come in as a resource to help make sure that our patrons are banked and able to leverage some type of incentive by becoming banked. I think that helps not only our patrons, but our community as a whole. Any thoughts on that?
I completely agree. I think there is benefits to working with a credit union like that. I know Ms. Haldo is here listening to the conversation, so we'll definitely make that an option. I would like to say there's a technology component also. Like, so the technology we're using to accept the cash is a fare box, which is 50 years old. So it's costing us, it is costing HART a number of, some money just to keep this services, which that system is most likely going to be out of, and they're not going to support that system eventually in the next few years. So that's another kind of incentive we have to minimize our cash. So.
Okay, thank you very much. I do have one final question. What's our total investment in Flamingo?
We're about total from inception,
12, 13?
12, 13 million, yes.
Okay. All right. Well, thank God what's our annual recurring costs for Flamingo? Is there some kind of maintenance fees, or do we own it all? Or?
Yes, our current maintenance fee right now, through an agreement, is about $1.4 million a year.
Okay. All right, good deal. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much for your presentation. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, next we will move forward to procurement monitoring. Mr. Drainville, you're recognized to share updates on procurement monitoring reports.
Thank you, Chair, and good morning again, committee members, staff. There was 8 sole source procurements that have been added since the sole source procurement since the November board meeting. The first is Angel Tracks cameras in the amount of $88,778. September 14, 2020, HART Board authorized a contract for transit security camera and audio systems to Angel Tracks. HART requires camera equipment for its new Ford Explorers. Angel Tracks retains exclusive rights to manufacture, sell, and install its systems. Next is Level 3 Finance Incorporated in the amount of $98,668. HART selected Level 3 Communications to deliver communication services through a competitive solicitation process in 2008. The current renewal includes an upgrade in the current equipment installed by Level 3, which will result in a 44% cost savings to HART in FY26. Next is Communications International Incorporated in the amount of $55,203. During the pre-design of the CAD-AVL project, it was discovered that Clever Devices' Zoom recording solution is not compatible with the county-wide P25 radio system that HART will be using through its Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office. To address this, HART has selected Exacom through the radio contract for the recording platform. Exacom provides mission-critical voice recording solutions that are already in use by public safety and transit agencies. Their system supports the P25 radio integration, ensures reliable capture and storage of communications, and provides compliance-ready access to recorded files. Communications International is the only partner providing local service and support in Central Florida. Moving on to S&A Systems Incorporated in the amount of $20,140. HART utilizes FleetWatch systems for the fuel management, vehicle data capture, and fleet analytics. To maintain compatibility with existing FleetWatch infrastructure, additional OBD2 data loggers and MR55 mobile receiver programs are required. S&A Systems Incorporated is the original manufacturer and sole authorized distributor of FleetWatch equipment and software in the United States. Because FleetWatch components operate under proprietary firmware and communication protocols, only S&A Systems can provide compatible replacements and authorized technical support. Next, Automotive Development Group in the amount of $26,921. HART's maintenance department utilizes rotary brand heavy-duty roll jack lifts within the preventive maintenance bays. Over time, the equipment has exhibited hydraulic and mechanical performance issues, including leaks in hardened lines, faulty pump assemblies, and bypass valves that reduce lifting performance and reliability. Automotive Development Group Incorporated is the factory authorized representative and service provider for rotary lifts in the state of Florida. Power Systems and Innovation Incorporated in the amount of $21,361. HART currently uses the Symetra PX uninterruptible power supply, or UPS, to provide power to the data centers at both 21st and Ybor. The Symmetra PX UPS is a high-performance, modular, scalable, and redundant power protection system designed specifically for data centers. Power and Systems Innovations is the sole provider of Advantage Ultra servers. Next is Bonfire Interactive LTD in the amount of $38,677. HUD's procurement department continues to utilize the Bonfire platform, a proprietary cloud-based e-procurement and contract management system used for managing solicitations, evaluations, and contract life cycles electronically. Bonfire Interactive LTD is the sole provider and proprietary owner of the Bonfire strategic sourcing platform. And last, the Conduit Transport Solutions in the amount of $18,099. Conduit Transit Solutions is an exclusive CAD/AVL solution provider for the fixed route and paratransit. Conduit is the only supplier of OrbGuide mobile data terminals, or MDT, which is fully compatible with our existing Conduit CAD/AVL system. OrbGuide MDTs are essential interface terminals that enable operators to communicate effectively with dispatchers in the Operations Control Center. The refurbished units will reduce hardware failures, leading to communication breakdowns. And moving on to new solicitations. So this report, this is for both October, November, and December. So with a solicitation for direct insurance carriers for HART's employer-provided life, accidental death, and dismemberment, and long-term disability plans. As you can see, that was actually one of our action items today, so this goes back to October. Next is a solicitation for a certified contractor to provide all labor, equipment, materials, supervision, insurance, scheduling, and incidentals necessary for the build-out of the second floor at the Marion Transit Center. Third is a request to procure 16 HP EliteBook laptops and docks for the HART Information Technologies Department. The fourth is a request to provide 5 network switches for the Marion Transit Center. And lastly, a solicitation for emerging technology and amenities. The qualified and experienced firm will provide a systems integrator to furnish, install, configure, operate, and maintain information displays at HART's bus stops and facilities to provide real-time information to riders. And that concludes my report.
Okay, any questions for Mr. Drainville? There to be none. Okay, any old business? I do. Brian, how were we, where do we stand on the audit for the current audit status?
Yeah, we're currently meeting with them weekly over what we submitted to them. And we're waiting for the last pension calculation from the state so we can do that entry. And that'll spearhead the process going further over the next month. So we will have shortly the MD&A also put together for them. So all those pieces will start coming together and finalizing in the next month here.
Okay, has the auditor signed off on all of last year's issues and everybody's happy with how we fixed them and so forth?
Yeah, we have had no indications of any concerns at this point.
All right, cool. Second question is budget process. Where do we stand in the budget process going forward? I know it's early, but.
Yeah, we'll be working on doing the actual budget schedule, again, reviewing that to defining a budget schedule. And we're also working with the city of Tampa to get some meetings ahead of time on the rail card. So we're soliding up those a little bit earlier so we can start negotiating and know where we stand when we come to budget time.
Melanie's resting her voice so that when she does her 32 budget presentations, she'll be fine for next year. Well, very good. Okay, any other old business? I don't see any new business. Ms. Williams.
Thank you. During our board meeting last week, we discussed the evaluation of Mr. Drainville. And part of that evaluation was his overall ranking, which was a 4.8, which was above the average for his year's performance. And then shortly thereafter, we talked about the merit and the potential for, I would say, a bonus. Maybe I'm not categorizing it correctly, but additional dollars and so forth. So I had called and asked for that to be a part of this agenda, and understanding there was no chair at the time for this meeting, I did not see it on the agenda. So, but I do believe that questions of that nature or not so much as questions, but for us to have discussion should come before the Finance and Audit Committee so that we have an opportunity to look at some of the things that we requested at the board meeting, such as the actual rate of pay as well as the budgeted dollars. And I think we had asked for a number of other things in comparison to what others made and so forth, so we could have intelligent discussions in the committee meeting before we go ahead of the conversations with the entire board. And so that is one part of the question I wanted to ask, to have as a discussion point for the Finance and Audit Committee. And then secondly, the information that we requested at the board meeting, I don't see it at this point because I believe the agreement was to bring it back to the next board meeting. But I did think it was, we should have had some conversation about it here in this meeting since I had made a request for it to be brought forward today. So I'll just pause and get feedback on that, please.
Mr. Drainville who'd you make the request to?
I made it from Ms. Lena Pettit.
Okay, was that communicated to you?
No, so, I mean, my apologies, so it wasn't on the agenda. I don't know, I know we were gonna, had some meetings scheduled with General Counsel to speak on that. I don't know if this information has been collected yet or not, but I mean, I mean, if we wanna have conversations now on any specifics, I mean, if we have that, we can do that, but we do plan to meet with General Counsel to provide that information for the board meeting.
Okay, thank you. And it was a casual conversation, just to make sure that I wouldn't expect her to just automatically add it to the board meeting, but I did want to have a conversation about it, and that's why it's coming up in new business versus it being on an agenda item. So from my standpoint, I just would like to be more prepared before we go forward, so we can intelligently speak to the fact that you did come up, you did work from the standpoint of getting an above average score of 4.8, and what does that represent as results to a merit and other dollars that accompany that rating.
Okay, well, normally speaking, our meeting would have occurred next week, but due to the holiday next week, I think we accelerated it this week to accommodate the schedule.
Just in that line of thinking, does it change your opinion on furthering that discussion in the next full board meeting, in that we and this committee haven't had an opportunity to look through that data? And as I recall, that conversation had the component of the pay compared to the historical pay, the increase that we approved at 5% with the tabling of consideration of going higher than that. And then there was a data request for how does this pay compare to other CEOs throughout the state of Florida? And then what were their both revenue and what were their ridership, so that we could put that into context. Those were the conversations that I recall. And I do anticipate that coming up into a future board meeting. Would it be your opinion that it would be premature to further those discussions in February? Given the fact that we can't discuss it here today, is that part of what I understood you to say, or do I misunderstand you?
I think we need to have the conversation in February from a board standpoint going forward. I think we have to have those conversations in the committee meeting so that we can intelligently speak to it, because I felt like that conversation was very loose and that we were holding in the board meeting, and it was not. I don't think it was fair to Mr. Drainville or to the board itself for us to just initially have conversations and not be prepared for a conversation of that nature.
I don't disagree with that. Would it be, and then I do also remember it being stated that any additional increase the board might approve, to the extent that the board does approve it, so long as it would be retroactive, wasn't, I think somebody brought that up as a requirement. Would we then want to ask for this data and ask for this conversation to occur in this committee meeting for February, which would then delay the agenda item until March at the full board level, I guess, is what I'm trying to find out?
Theoretically, it would do that. However, the retroactivity, retroactive nature of it would mitigate any negative items to Mr. Drainville. know you're sitting here, so it's a third person, but, hold on, let's, Director Hartfield, you got a comment?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I echo the sentiments of Directors Williams and Nieberg. I think as we continue to progress as a board, I think the best solution is to come up with a protocol or an SOP that we take into consideration the questions that's been asked, that those are vetted through the Finance Committee going forward, and then submitted to the board as we evaluate our CEO and help to make a decision, a more informed decision based on both quantitative and qualitative analysis. But I like the discussion that Ms. Williams and Mr. Nieberg brought up as regards to how do we get to a point of evaluating our CEO, compensating him or her correctly without having disruption during the board meeting. I think we need some type of process and protocol in place.
If I may address that, I don't disagree with what we're talking about here. However, I think that falls outside of our roles and responsibilities, outside of saying, yes, it's a budgeted item, yes, and validating the numbers, which I don't know that we're going to be responsible for doing so. I believe that HR, which is basically what this is a committee of the whole by the entire board. And I think we would be overstepping our bounds at this point to unilaterally say, well, we need to see this first. I think the numbers, the CFO validating that it's in the budget and it falls within the guidelines of the contract per legal, then I think that's all we need to be concerned with this as a committee. I don't know that I want to get into HR for management as a finance and audit, which is what we are. That we're validating the numbers and we can do that. But I also don't necessarily want to delay the whole process going forward. Now, if we want to do that, then we do that as a matter of rule for next year so that everybody's on the same page. But I'm hesitant to come back to the board in February and say, well, we want to look at this thing first.
Right.
That's my only concern with that. We don't have, it's not our charter as a finance and audit committee necessarily. We validate the number, yeah, it's a good number, blah, 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 and legal validates the contract issues, and then we would move forward with it. We would have changed that, we will let the board change our direction on that chart. That'd be my only concern with it moving forward.
And just from your standpoint, Mr. Director Chisler, that, I'm not looking for us to make the sole decision. I think we should come to the table with the information and understanding that we're all on the same page as to, what are the components that Mr. Nieberg, Director Nieberg talked about and that we asked for, and that we take that information forward versus one of us saying, oh, it's this number or it's that number and so forth. And we collectively make that decision and we ground the information that is there. And of course, we would have the presentation from whomever, if it's HR, if it's from our legal department and so forth, and then we would support what that information is versus not being in a position to do so. And, we want the best for our CEO. We've not had the ability to say that in some time. And so we want to be able to come to the table intelligently and professionally with the information at hand, and that we can collectively stand before the board as the Finance and Audit Committee saying that we agree to what has been put forward, we aligned on this information, and let's come together and make this decision.
Well, to that end, could we, to legal counsel, could we as a committee do a virtual meeting on the issue between now and the board meeting? I don't want to wait another 6 weeks. There's going to be another 6 weeks before we could bring everything back, at least to bring it back to the board.
I would just like to comment. I'm not asking for a delay.
No, I know.
Okay.
Well, I'd like to accommodate the request. We all like to be on the same page, but can we do this, something like that virtually?
We certainly could do a virtual meeting. We really as a committee, couldn't take official action, but certainly you could have a discussion. You could go over the data.
Yeah, and then that way we could at least make the commentary to the full board that we've discussed it, and to, you know, we don't have any questions, or we don't have a problem. Is Director Hartfield?
I like that direction. I would add that somehow we develop a standard procedure going forward on how to approach this. Usually it happens in executive committee.
Yeah.
But to my understanding, we don't have executive committee.
Well, we do. We do.
Well,
We have
okay.
the executive committee is comprised of the officers of the board
Okay.
and the chairs for the individual committees.
Okay,
So we've done that in the past.
okay,
So I mean, to that extent, but it's never really been officially delegated by the board.
yeah.
We've never had a CEO in office long, in place long enough that's as good as Mr. Drainville to get this thing done, so. yeah,
I would, what you recommended, Chairman Schisler, makes sense, and I'd love to move forward on it. But I also would love to see us develop something that gives us some guidelines moving forward as well.
Well, perhaps we could kick that to the full board in the February meeting and say, okay, guys, we need a process going forward so that we don't, look like the cats and jammer kids. Okay. All right. Mr. Drainville, when that information goes available, could we convene a virtual committee meeting? And then that way we'd be prepared for the February board meeting better. Okay. Very good. Thank you. Okay, any other new business? Period to be done. This meeting stands adjourned. Thank you, everybody. Good job.